Football United, the one show that gets you everything you need to know about Indian football and a lot more. And this week, the Hero ISL season 2021-22 has started, and we have three very, very excited gentlemen in Darren Caldeira, Paul Masefield and Pradhyum Reddy. But before we start and talk to them about the Kolkata Derby which is coming up this week, let's tell you what's on the show. The excitement builds up as the Kolkata Derby is all set to kick off on the 27th. We hear from the players about what it means playing in the derby, and a trip down memory lane with Bhaichung, Bhutia and Jose Ramirez Barreto as they talk about their derby memories. And as you see, we have three gentlemen who know all about the derby, and I'll come to Prad first. Prad, what does the Kolkata Derby mean? It is more than a match. It's like a cultural event, isn't it?
Absolutely, Moja. I think you've lived in the city. You know what it's like, not just on the match day, but leading up to the match day. There's just so much anticipation and bragging rights as well. And it's not just bragging rights for managers, bragging rights for the players, but amongst families, amongst around the offices and everyone. And it's almost like you got to get through that one because you don't get redemption until the next time you meet. So you got to make sure that first one counts.
Darren, coming to you, what does the derby mean? It is something else. It is Indian football's biggest game.
I've been fortunate enough to play a couple of derbies, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's just one of those games that you want to be part of as a footballer. And even in the city, you have, if you're walking the streets at any point, you have the vegetable vendors and shopkeepers around who will come in and talk about the derby and say that how we need to beat ATK Mohun Bagan, how we need to beat SC East Bengal, one of those things. It's absolutely brilliant. And it's such a big game because you have even a lot of the local Bengali players will come and have chats with you and talk to you and tell you about how big this game is and the importance of it. And for fans, it doesn't matter where on the table you are. Like, you could be the first place team playing probably the team that's in last place, but all that matters is the derby. You win the derby, the fans just want that. So this game is just massive, and we all are looking forward to it.
Mace, I'll come to you. Your thoughts on the derby?
An unbelievable spectacle. I mean, the boys have highlighted there about what it means to all the fans and everything, but the players as well, that they don't want to lose these games. Darren's right. If you're bottom of the table, you'll still want to turn over, your rivals. It's as simple as that. It is a festival. It is a time for, expression, joy, fun. But what it means is you actually give people that joy when you win. You give them joy in their lives. It doesn't matter, but just for that 90 minutes, you get the right result. The next couple of days, the next week, until they play each other again, like Brad said, you have that over your closest rivals. And in Calcutta, I think, as we know, and we're all aware, that's vitally important. But for me, it's probably, I think I've said this before, when you look at the number of fans that can be there and have been there in the past, the history, the heritage, the tradition, it is, if not the biggest game in Asian football, in my opinion.
After what happened last season, if they win the derby, it's a huge statement.
It's a huge statement, and as you were saying, with like whether it's family, sometimes you have families who are divided amongst the lines of which team they support. And the next week, even if ATK Mohun Bagan go on and beat one of the other teams, like beat an FC Goa, beat a Mumbai, you've still got the bragging rights to say, yeah, but we beat you in that game. That counts. And I think that's the uniqueness of this fixture, and the fans of these two teams are like that. Sometimes the result of who finishes where in the table at the end of the season doesn't matter. It's all about those particular 6 points between them.
Darren, would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, this derby I think is going to be a lot more closer than the one we had last season, because I feel like SC East Bengal are much more prepared this season. We've also heard from the coach of SC East Bengal, Manolo Diaz, speaking about the importance of the derby, and he's well aware of it. And I'm sure they've been prepping for this day, because I'm just glad that they're well prepared this time around with a proper preseason. So we know that ATK Mohun Bagan have a really strong squad and had a great start, to the Hero Indian Super League. But I feel like on this game, on the match day, it's just the better team wins. It doesn't matter which team is coming in with the momentum or something of that sort. It's just about on the day and who's going to be the better side.
Absolutely. Let's hear from the players also from both the teams as they look ahead to the derby.
As a player, you want to create history, and look, East Bengal is one of the greatest club, and playing in this derby, I've read so much, and there's so much history behind this derby, and to score in both the games, that is history now. hopefully this season I can get more goals.
I missed those two derbies when I played for Mohun Bagan. Now I'm playing on the other side, and it's going to be a different, atmosphere. I know we are not playing in Kolkata.
Yeah.
If it was in Kolkata, would have been much better. What we are expecting. But derby is derby. We know about this. Everybody knows about the history of these two teams. So I think definitely I'll be excited for that.
एक बहुत अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस होने वाला है. मैंने बचपन से देखते आ रहे कि कोलकाता की फुटबॉल की derby के बारे में सुनते आ रहे हैं. सीनियर प्लेयर्स को एक्सपीरियंस दे रहे, वो लोग बताते हैं और कि कैसे उनका एक्सपीरियंस ये सब चीज. तो वो एक्सपीरियंस अभी मुझे मिलने वाला है, तो मैं बहुत एक्साइटेड हूँ और टीम के लिए मैं अपना बेस्ट देना चाहता हूँ.
It's also the same here in Finland, where I grew up. We have also two teams in the same town, so I'm used to these rivals. I think those are the best games to play, because it's like there's always something special in those games. There's always the tension between the fans, between the players, and it's like usually it happens that it doesn't matter what is the position in the table at that moment. It's always a new game. Anything can happen in those games, and I'm really excited to see what's gonna happen.
The day I signed, I got messages, I got videos of the game, I got videos of the supporters, and everybody is speaking about this game, that this is this is I think the biggest derby in India.
Yes.
And, yes, these are games you want to play as a football player. It's unlucky that we can't play it in Kolkata, that we have to play it in Goa without the fans.
We have some improvement to do in the possession game, and some tactical stuff to improve as well. Will be great to play against East Bengal, this historic derby. Even if the fans are not here, it's quite difficult. But let's see how it's going.
So those are the players. They know the importance of the derby, what this means for the fans. Darren, you said you played in it. How does a player approach a derby? Do you approach it differently, or does it not matter? It's just another match for you.
It's one of those games where, as a player, you want to make an impact, because if you have a good game on that day, you would probably be remembered by the fans for a very, very long time.
Legend. Hashtag.
Yeah, it's one of those games, and we've seen some big players in the past. For example, Barreto and Bhaichung, Bhutia. These sort of players who've been with these big clubs, played plenty of derbies, and the impact they've had. So as a player, we're really, really looking forward to it. There's a lot of nerves involved as well. I won't deny that, because it's one of those games, when you get onto the field, you can barely hear your teammates, and you make one wrong pass, you got your own fans going up against you. But it's one of those games that you want to be part of as a professional. So as a player, you want to play more and more games like these.
Miss, talking about the players, does it affect them that it's a derby, that everybody is watching? Or does it put more pressure that if you just treat it as a normal match, then probably the performance improves? But that's the fun of a derby or a clash like this.
You never know what you're going to expect. That's the key element. And like Darren said, when everybody's talking about it, everybody's talking to you and they're in your ear telling you how important the game is, it can affect different players in different ways. I mean, if you look just as the squads that they've got at the moment, ATK Mohun Bagan actually played together, and the majority of them played together in this fixture last season, or the core of the squad. SC East Bengal don't have that luxury. So the foreign players may not understand, they may not get the feel, they may not get the grasp. Whereas a lot of the ATK Mohun Bagan players were here last year. So for them, it becomes another game with a little bit more added importance. For these newbies coming in, it can go one of two ways. One, they can freeze, or two, they can say, oh, this is the game. If I stand up and show you what I can do, then as you mentioned, #legend, that's what they start to become. And that does happen. And that is what creates wonder players, as it were, in derby matches.
And Brad, as a coach, how does one prepare for a match like this? Because, no matter what you do through the season, you could be judged by this. Because if you lose two derbies, whoever the coach is, you are in a tricky situation in these clubs.
Outwardly, as a coach, you always put out the same message. Oh, it's just another game. It's still just only 3 points and all that. But deep down, you know that. And you know that because you look at the way the teams come out. You look at how the first challenge goes in. You look at how people react in those games. You're always it's a lot more physical. It's a lot more feisty. And that's not coming. And obviously that's something that as coaches, you make that point that you don't give an inch in these games to the opposition. So as much as outwardly you'll hear the same phrase, whoever the coach is, yeah, just another game, but no, it certainly isn't, because as you said, you win those 2 games, that's your insurance package as a coach. Even if you just miss out on the top 4, you miss out on something, that is, as a coach, your insurance package. If you get a big win, that's, free meals all year if you're anywhere in your part of the town in Kolkata.
Talking of 2 wins, last season ATK Mohun Bagan won both the fixtures and Roy Krishna scored in both fixtures. Let's look at what happened the last time these 2 teams met.
Believe me, the clash of the Kolkata Titans will be as intense as ever. Welcome to the Tilak Maiden in Vasco. Picture of Arrington, number 29, who is the goalkeeper. And this is a tasty move, edge of the area, could break here for Krishna! He's found the net again!
Keeper has to do better for me there, but I tell you, take nothing away from that finish. Krishna, we said it in the first one, was back with a bang. Now, John, he's back with a double bang.
Supposedly an away fixture. And then they've got Hyderabad to meet on the 11th. Here's the opportunity to make it 2-0 and finish it all off once and for all. Manveer, that's the goal! And that's the points in the bag for ATK Mohun Bagan.
They are vulnerable at the back, but Manveer checks back inside, fires that one into the top corner and says, thank you very much. I'll take the 3 points today.
And it's a great start to the new season of Hero Indian Super League for ATK Mohun Bagan.
ATK Mohun Bagan against SC East Bengal, the 99th match of the Hero ISL's Season 7 and also the Kolkata Derby's 100th year. A great ball forward for Roy Krishna. He's chasing this. Roy Krishna's open. Shubrata comes out. Roy Krishna scores!
What a ball that is, and it's a great finish. If anybody in the Hero ISL is going to finish this man is the best on the planet at doing that.
Raju, there's that long throw in again. Oh, it's an own goal.
If they get a bit of luck in tonight's game, it's Tiri. Tiri scores an own goal here, and he's going up for the ball. It's an extra set missile, I've said it many a times.
He's taken it away this time. Pickpocketed the defense and set up David Williams! And they are at it once again. ATK Mohun Bagan have taken the lead. It's 2-1. Manveer, no nonsense at all. Javi will chase. And now Roy Krishna will continue the move. Roy Krishna dinks it in. Javi's header! A classic derby goal! Created by Roy Krishna. Finished by Javi.
Magnificent header, but it's all about the ball in. There's 3 SC East Bengal players scrambling to try and get the header, and Javi guides it into the bottom of the net.
SC East Bengal, the players and their fans would like to forget this as soon as possible. It is full time. 5 wins in a row for Habas and his men.
Mace, I'll come to you with this one. Last year, ATK Mohun Bagan won both. But this year, it's much closer, right? Because, yes, ATK Mohun Bagan have got off the blocks much quicker. They have done well. The Bumu, Kauko, Roy Krishna partnership looks brilliant, but there are defensive issues. So this is very hard to call, right?
It is, because of the derby element. It really is. And again, you've got to look at the preparation that SC East Bengal have had this season. It has been a lot more structured and a lot better than it was
match already. They played Jamshedpur already. So last year, that was the first game. So they're a little more prepared, a little more match fit, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's the thing. So they'll have had that one game. They'll be able to see and look and feel how they will be as a team when they're on the field of play. And like I said, derby matches can inspire players, or they can go into shells. And these are games that you've got to stand up, put your chest out, and you've got to be big and strong. And Darren will tell you that. If you go out there and you don't want the ball, you shouldn't be on the pitch, because every footballer lives, breathes, and wants to die playing in one of these games of football, because they mean so much.
Darren, Mace spoke about it. It's one of the things, right, that every Indian player wants to be part of. It's one of those matches. While growing up as a footballer in India, every kid, I think, has thought, one day I'll play in the derby and score a goal.
It's one of those games that, like everyone's saying, you just live to play such a game. I mean, it's so big, and I'm actually lost for words, to be honest, because it's that sort of a game. It just takes me back to those
The big question is, though, Darren, the big question is did you score in the derby?
I didn't actually. There was a controversial goal that me and Dika were involved in. I think maybe Mojo knows which the linesman disallowed. That would have been something. But yeah, we didn't score. We lost one derby. We drew one, which is not so good. Post a loss in Kolkata, obviously. But yeah, again, this is just such a massive game, and I wouldn't have it any other way. You just have to play a derby at some point.
Absolutely, Brad. It's just something else, right? It's very difficult to sometimes explain to people what this derby means, right? Because it's an emotion. You can't really explain it. As Darren said, you can't really sometimes find the words because you don't choose these clubs. You're born into them, right? Mostly. There are very few I know who have actually chosen their clubs in Kolkata, but primarily are born into it.
It's like any great rivalry across the world where if there's a player who is excelling in the league, one of these two clubs over the years, I mean, historically, if there was a top player in India, whether he's playing in Hyderabad or Bangalore or Kerala, it was, poached by one of these two teams. And literally, I mean, the stories of people making train journeys up to sign at one club and being effectively kidnapped and taken away and signed by the other team. I mean, these are great, it's a great stories, but they're true stories. And
yeah, because there's a Carlton Chapman story, the famous story where he was signed by Mohun Bagan from TFA, but in the train, so Bhaichung told us that Carlton was accosted by East Bengal officials who pretended to be Mohun Bagan officials and said, "Come with us." So these are crazy stories.
As someone who's coached against both the teams as not one of those two teams, you always used to almost look forward to your fixtures thinking, I hope we play either an SC East Bengal or an ATK Mohun Bagan after the derby, because probably going to get a few cards. There's going to be a few players missing from either suspensions or sendings off. Going to be a few knocks in that game, and possibly emotionally as well. Players have probably peaked at that game, and you want to catch them in the game afterwards. So even though you're not coaching one of those teams, you're looking forward to that fixture strategically to see when are you going to play them relative to that fixture as well.
Kolkata Derby, it's just something else. Again, as Darren rightly put, you can't explain it in words. Time for a short breather. On the other side, we hear from two legends, Bhaichung Bhutia and Jose Ramirez Barreto. Welcome back to Football United as we talk all things Kolkata Derby. We've heard from Darren, Mace and Prad. Now it's time to hear from two men who are legends of the Kolkata Derby, Bhaichung Bhutia and Jose Ramirez Barreto, as they tell us what it means to play in the Kolkata Derby.
Apart from people living in Bengal, rest of the country might not be aware of what East Bengal Mohun Bagan their history is all about. Mohun Bagan are known to be the original Bengalis, and East Bengal are known to be Bengalis who come later on to Bengal. From Bangladesh side, that's what the history is all about. So, you don't support the clubs. You are either born East Bengal or either born Mohun Bagan. So you can't choose. You can't choose to follow club. You're born East Bengal or Mohun Bagan.
When I'm talking about the numbers of supporters in this in the derby, I think people really say, "Wow, it's real," and I say, "Yeah, it's real." I remember my early days when we used to play, and by there also where we used to having 1 lakh people in that stage, and it was really crazy. I don't think any derby can reach those numbers, and that's something that's really impressive. People over here to having that number of supports in one stage and in one derby, it's really I think different than others.
My favorite, obviously, would be the hat-trick, his Federation Cup hat-trick, which was the first ever hat-trick between East Bengal and Mohun Bagan in almost 100 years. I think a record, in world football as well. Almost 140,000 people almost inside the stadium. So that is the best memory I have.
The 5-3 game where we won the game by 5-3. I think this derby was a really memorable one. It's something that I think it was in the throat of Mohun Bagan supporters for a very long time, for many years. And finally, Mohun Bagan had won a game by 5 goals against East Bengal, and I think that one was really a memorable one.
Only one thing, win. That's it. Because when you're playing Derby in Kolkata, 2 weeks before the match, the date is announced that this date the derby is going to happen. You have fans coming every day on our training grounds. Everywhere you go in Kolkata to buy fish, you go to buy, chocolates or anything. People are only going to talk to you about derby and say, "Jitto abhi, ei match se jitto abhi." If you're meeting East Bengal fans, if you're meeting Mohun Bagan fans, they'll say, "Haravo, we will make sure we'll defeat you." So even that excitement pressure builds up for quite some time.
So that was Bhaichung, Bhutia and Jose Ramirez Barreto. So many memories about the Kolkata Derby that's coming up on the 27th. But the Hero ISL season kicked off with ATK Mohun Bagan picking up a big win over Kerala Blasters. Base. The wait is over. The season's up and running. We had a few games. Great fun, right?
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. I mean, it is going to be a tight season this year. I think Kerala Blasters could have had it slightly differently had they had a little bit of luck earlier on in the match. However, I think ATK Mohun Bagan showed their quality and their strength, and the reason that they've signed the likes of Bruno and also, what was it, a Galasso from Colasso in his opening game as well, in his debut for ATK Mohun Bagan. I think that they've set a big statement and a big marker down. They want to play attractive football, they want to score goals, and what does that mean? It bodes well for the league. It means we're going to have an open attacking football, and that's what I'm looking forward to this season.
Got kicked off with a beautiful game between ATK Mohun Bagan and Kerala Blasters. I mean, the initial games you always think teams are a bit cautious and they probably don't want to, go all out and concede. They want to feel the opponent and see how it goes. But I think that early goal really set the tone for the rest of the game, and I thought that was a phenomenal game for neutrals. All of us enjoyed watching that one. And we know that all the teams have strengthened, their squads and are looking a lot more stronger this season. And it's going to be very, very close. If we thought last season was close, I think we're going to have a lot more teams fighting for the top 4.
4 foreigner rule now means you have to have some of these good young players that are breaking through the system, and you've got to be bold enough as a coach and as a team to sort of say, yes, we're going to have to play them across the spine, and that for me is going to be the key this season.
While the teams have strengthened and there's some great action on the field, off the field also there's some great action with the EISL. So let's tell you what you can expect in the EISL, which you can watch on all the social media channels, on GeoTV. It's going to be really, really exciting. So that was all that we could pack into this episode of Football United. Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Mace. Thank you, Prad, for being with us. And don't forget, the Kolkata Derby is on which date? Which date, guys?
27th.
27th.
Yes, Mace wins this one.
Mojo.
Come on, set your reminders. 27th is the Kolkata Derby. Don't forget to watch it. Thanks for watching Football United, though. Keep using the hashtag Football United to let us know what you thought of the show. Thank you so much.